TFM. TFM. Let's talk.
It's Avita Lewis on TFM Mornings here on TFM, and I am so excited because I have been joined by Mr. Iqbal Alawati, who is an author of a brand new book called Refracted Reflections, Faith, Morals, and Society. Why I'm chatting with Mr. Alawati is, well, it's Book Lovers Day today, the 9th of August, celebrating the magical world of books and everything that they represent to all of us book lovers. Good morning to you, sir.
Very good morning, dear, and thank you very much for having me on your show.
I'm so excited. The minute I heard about you and your book, I was like, we have to chat with him. We have to find out everything we can about you, yourself, of course, and your book and all of that. So let's just get straight down to it, right? Let's talk about you
Sure.
first. Now, you come from a background of information and communications technology and finance, right, as a senior executive. So how did that lead to you writing a book?
Okay. I myself am still in a surprise about that. I'm trying to come to terms with that.
Right.
And especially when I told my friends I am thinking about writing a book, they thought it would be something related to banking or business or finance.
Yeah.
But they were amazingly shocked and perhaps surprised when I finally shared with them what I was going to write about.
Yeah.
But anyways, you see, beyond my professional interest and work, I've always had a great penchant for reading books.
Okay.
I've been an avid reader since my very beginning, since my childhood.
Okay.
I started reading comic books, then young adult books, fiction. Then I moved on to proper adult fiction. But finally, I got tired of fiction. And perhaps a couple of decades or more ago, I switched my focus entirely to nonfiction.
Right.
And I really got hooked on that subject because my interests in nonfiction were very varied. And to give you an example, I read a lot of books on philosophy, on religion, on anthropology, and so on and so forth, about social matters, about world matters, about the world ecosystems and all that. So that is how I got, first of all, when I thought of doing something in my retired life, and especially with the COVID lockdowns and all that, it really helped me focus. And finally, I got the nerve to put pen to paper, and hey presto, here is the result of that.
Your book, Refracted Reflections, Faith, Morals, and Society, it explores very thought-provoking topics, ranging from faith to, the soul, to society and morals. Give us a little bit, give us a gist of the book.
Okay. See, before I give you a gist of the book, I must actually tell you that I read a book by an author called D.E. Whitaker, Whitcover.
Okay.
And his book is called The Philosopher's Book of Questions and Answers. I read that book and I got very interested in some of the subjects he was raising, but also, before starting any new chapter, he was asking a couple of questions and encouraging the reader to first pen his own thoughts on those questions.
Oh, wow.
And then read the philosopher's views.
Okay.
And he had a collection of different philosophers for different views on the subjects. Mm-hmm. So I got excited and interested, and I actually sat down and I actually did all the responses to the questions.
Okay.
By the time this was completed, I personally felt a little bit elated about it, to be very honest. And I thought, and even my family members, my wife, my kids, they said, you've done so much work. Is it just to put it back in the drawer? Because by the time I finished with it, it was almost 25, 30 A4 pages, It was all on a keyboard command. So I thought that is true. It's all a wasted effort. I have the time and the inclination. So I turned that QA into a narrative format. And then I built upon that. That was only a few subjects as was being charted by the author of the book. Right. But then I added my own things that have always been going around in my head. I thought this is an opportunity to bring it out,
Yeah.
So I did that. And so I must confess that the inspiration for my book came from D.A. Whitaker's book.
Right.
And then I took it further from there.
Okay.
As to the objective for the book, as I said, it was to present a broad brush perspective on my worldview,
Right.
and the environment we live in. And, as human beings, we generally have some inquisitiveness, things that, what is the sun? What's the moon? Why are we here? What's happening? What's going to happen to me on this earth? What am I going to do when I die? What's going to happen to me? So I started deliberating on those questions. And obviously, I put my views on paper in my book.
Right.
So it was with an objective to try and understand a little bit better, get a little bit more firm handle on why we are here and what is expected of us.
That's, you like when you say it, it sounds like such a broad topic, which it is, but you're right.
It is. Yes.
It's questions that all of us have thought at some point or the other. Many of us struggle with, those kind of questions and these notions of society and morals and all of that. So I love that, this is almost like an everyman's book, right?
It is not an almost every man's book. It is indeed an every man's book.
Yeah.
Because honestly, when I was writing, see, I'm not a philosopher,
yeah,
or a man of books, as religion books and that. So I brought to my book my perspective from a very, very layman point of view. And I was addressing I was targeting an audience who would be same like me, not come from an esoteric background of
Yeah.
big philosophy and scholarly knowledge and all that. But I felt that whatever goes through my mind goes through the mind of an average human being as well. So it is actually addressed to the casual general reader as he goes through life, and as some things keep pestering him with, some thoughts on the subject. I thought maybe, and I don't expect him to take everything that I've said. We all have our own individual outlooks and views. But I felt that if I can just get the casual reader to take away some from this, and to get some point that might excite him further, to then go and do his own study, his own research, and probably his own book in due course of time. So that was so it is addressed to the general public, to the average layman, just like me. So it's a peer group target, basically.
I think your words are very reassuring as well, because it's quite normal and expected even for people to get very intimidated by topics such as society and morals and faith, right? But I feel like just the way you've explained it right now, I think it will encourage a lot of our listeners to go there and pick it up and be like, I don't have to be afraid of it. I can definitely explore it with
Absolutely.
That's
there are no words in it that are from esoteric point of view, or that are cliches, or from very high-end perspective, professional language. No, it is it's a book in everyday English for everyday men, as using a little bit of few words from you itself.
Yeah, that's amazing. So thank you for that. I think I really needed to hear that, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are very encouraged by that as well. Now, before we let you go, you've mentioned that you've always loved reading. You've always been an avid reader. What would you say are your top 3 books? Don't worry, I won't ask you what the story is in each of these books. Just tell me what your top 3 books are, like something that you've read and you've just been like, wow, mind blown by.
Yeah, I understand the question, and I was sort of expecting it, obviously. Now, the thing is that I first told you what inspired me to write the book. So obviously, that's one of my favorite books, if you like.
Yeah.
As for giving you a few names for the books that I've really read and liked and been impressed with, the list is very long. And also, I've been reading for the last couple of decades or more. So not all the names are fresh in my mind, not all the book contents are fresh, but I can only quote you from some of the books that I read, let's say within the last 18 months or so, 12 to 18 months. 4 books that come to my mind. which I have read within the last 18 months or so, is A Brief History of Time, a very popular book by Stephen Hawking. He
Yes.
needs no introduction.
Of course not.
The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins,
Okay.
who is again an authority in his own rights.
Yeah.
Then there's a book called Sufism and Taoism.
Yes.
And this is a book by, you know about that book?
Yeah.
It's a book by a Japanese author, I think is Japanese, but obviously I read the English translation of that.
Yeah.
The author's name is Toshihiko Izutsu.
Yeah.
Forgive me if I'm making some problem in my
not at
pronunciation.
all.
And the one of the recent books that I've again read recently and has impressed me a lot is the Religions book.
Okay.
It is by several contributors. It's compiled.
Okay.
It's a compilation of several contributors, and it actually charts the history of religion. It talks about the religions from prehistoric times until absolutely modern times,
Okay.
and touches upon almost all major but also a lot of minor religions that the world has gone through, and what sort of impact that they have had on society, on civilization, on men's thoughts and deeds and endeavors. So I felt if anyone wants to get a very good, in a nutshell, feel for, I don't want to sound like an advertiser for this book because I don't get anything out of it, but I really feel that from a totally educational point of view, awareness building point of view, I found this book a gem.
Okay.
And then obviously whatever one gets totally impressed with more, then one can go off in that and read particular specific books about that subject.
Right.
But I found this very, very interesting book.
Okay. Well, that's good. I feel like there's a wide range of topics covered there as well. So that was amazing. Thank you for that.
TFM. Let's talk.